Welcome to the Okaloosa Today show, and I would like to welcome our guest, County Administrator John Hofstad. Welcome, John.
Thank you for having me.
Well, you're finishing in your second year as the County Administrator. You've been the one to implement a lot of the new process and policies following the audits. We've had a few directors that have retired as well. Dino from Public Safety and our IT Director, Don Vanderhoek, who've been at the county for a long time. So we've had some moves in the county offices, moved into our new building. So you've had a lot of challenges in this short period of time.
Yeah, it's amazingly enough, it's been a quick 2 years. It seems like it was just last week that our previous administrator, Ernie Pageant, decided to retire, and I was able to step in the interim for a few months, and then was fortunate enough that the board supported me as the next administrator in 2014. So yeah, it's closing in on 2 years here in a few weeks, and we've gotten a lot accomplished in the last 2 years. And you're right, a lot of the policy changes kind of fell on us and the new administration and the way we shaped policy going forward and getting that supported by the board and the changes we've made. So it's been a busy 2 years for sure.
It sure has. It sure has. Well, you want to go ahead and talk about the budget? We just finished our budget hearings and just got the budget approved, but we haven't really had you on the show, haven't done a lot of talking on the show about it to let residents know, kind of what's going on with the new budget.
Yeah, and that's probably a timely discussion. We just entered our new budget year October 1st after a series of department meetings and workshops over the spring and summer as we look to build the budget for this year. And that's always a long process that's integral to county government is building that budget each year. That starts for us usually about the April time frame as we kind of lay out the groundwork for the budget process going forward. And then my office will meet individually with the department heads and their staff as we wade through their requests for funding. And ultimately, we pull all that together, and then usually about midsummer, start a series of workshops, 4 or 5 workshops with the board, where we essentially drill down to all the needs throughout all the BCC offices, and then the constitutional officers have their time in front of the board to pitch their needs for the coming year. And then we have to weigh that against what our projected revenues are, and that's always a chore to meet what the needs are within the known needs within this county through all of our offices. And that doesn't matter if you're public safety or libraries or veteran services or internal functions such as purchasing and HR. Obviously we give a lot of consideration each year to our transportation needs, and our public works department, water and sewer is another very large enterprise fund that we have to ensure that we take care of the infrastructure that we have, and then add infrastructure as we need for all the new residents that come into our county. And then you have tourism development, another huge enterprise fund that's one of the major economic drivers in this county, next to the Department of Defense and the military presence here. The other leg of that stool, if you will, is tourism and
funded by bed tax dollars.
Yep,
so
funded by bed tax dollars.
Not your ad valorem tax dollars.
And then we have the other major enterprise fund being our airports. We have a system of 3 airports in this county. We have our commercial airport, or BPS, or Destin Fort Walton Beach Airport. Then we have 2 general aviation airports in Bob Sykes in the Crestview area and Destin Executive, and that's another very large enterprise fund. But it's a matter of taking all of those needs and weighing those needs against the projected dollars coming in and providing a balanced budget to the board, which through the course of our workshops we were able to do that. And then entering September, we go through a series of 2 public hearings where the board gets their last shot and the public gets their last shot at our proposed budget and any last minute changes that we may make. I think the big takeaway from the budget this year is, again, we were able to maintain that millage at 3.4308, which is You know, our aggregate millage is one of the two, if not the lowest in the state. And we seem to go back and forth with Monroe County, the Florida Keys area, every year as to who has the lowest aggregate millage. But our aggregate millage in this county is 3.572 mills. We have a small municipal services taxing unit that's a component of that millage, and that revenue goes to support our parks in this county and part of our stormwater program. So in total, your property tax at 3.4308 mills and the 0.299 mills for our MSTU collectively, that's about 3.572 mills. And again, in comparison throughout the state of Florida, 67 counties in this state, we're the lowest, you know, we're at least one of the top two as far as lowest aggregate millage in the state of Florida, us and Monroe County. So
and
we're
that's
proud
a small
of that.
part of our budget too. I
Right.
always like to remind people about those enterprise funds that you talk about. I mean, we do have some of those departments who generate funds or get fees for services, and that's what you're talking about when you're talking about enterprise funds.
Yeah, our overall total budget is $368 million, largest budget in this county's history, but that's a reflection on the growth, and a lot of that has to do with the growth in the enterprise funds. We saw modest growth in property taxes, about 4.3%, so you know that generated a couple million extra dollars, and when you combine that with state revenue sharing and state sales tax, we saw about a $4.5 million increase in the general fund. So that's a very small component of that $369 million budget, $369 million budget. The budget increase in total dollar-wise was about $37 million increase. Again, the property tax component and the sales tax component was a little over $4 million of that. The balance of that was the tremendous growth we saw in tourism development bed tax funds. That fund grew by over 20%, about $9 million. We saw about $5 million in additional growth in our airport system. So again, that was about a double-digit growth figure in the airports. Our water and sewer enterprise fund grew by about 11%, or about $7 million. So when you add those three large enterprise funds into that $38 million
Right.
growth figure, the bulk of it was made up in the enterprise funds, the user fee type
Right.
of fund for our budget.
And with some of those, there's only certain ways that you can spend them too. I always like to remind everybody about that.
Yeah, you're right. That's very restrictive.
Yeah.
You know, the bed tax dollars have to be used to promote tourism here in Okaloosa County. The dollars that are collected through passenger facility charges and customer facility charges at the airport have to be used to support the infrastructure and capital improvement of the airport.
Right.
And the same thing on the water and sewer side. That's fee-based. You pay for the use of that system, and those dollars in turn have to be pumped back into the upkeep and capital improvement of the water and sewer system. So yeah, it's not like we have $37 million
blank
of
check.
a growth that
Yeah.
we can spread out over a bunch of need. Where we struggle to provide a balanced budget each year is the use of actual property tax dollars and everything that it supports, because it not only supports BCC functions,
Right,
Board of County
sheriff.
Commissioners
Yeah.
functions, but a big portion of that goes to support the sheriff. And we saw about 8% growth in the sheriff's budget this year. We allocated about $2.7 million additional to the sheriff. So when you're looking at a $4.5 million growth on the general fund side, and $2.7 million of that's going to the sheriff, the bulk of that money is going to support his need, and he has a need there.
Right.
Certainly, we've seen an increase in crime and violent crime in this county as we continue to grow, and he has a need and a revenue need to address that growth in crime.
Well, public safety, absolutely, very important. Well, and let's talk about some of those things that we accomplished this year in this year's budget, and look ahead a little bit to 2017. Let's start with that essential service transportation. We had Public Works on last month and talked in detail about PJ Adams and some of those new additions up there and improvements. A lot of work in Crestview this year.
Yeah, and I think it's important to point out on the Public Works side of the house, the bulk of their funding comes from gas taxes, whether it's the constitutional gas tax, which is the state gas tax, which we share in that revenue disbursement throughout the 67 counties, or the gas taxes we control, which are the local option gas taxes. And we do not levy all of the local option gas tax that's available to us. There's a couple pennies still out there that we do not leverage, but we utilize those dollars to address a lot of our transportation need, the bulk of our transportation need in this county, and to some extent some of the ancillary services, engineering, and stormwater as well. So it's a balancing act with that too, taking the revenue that we're forecasting and spreading that out amongst a very large need. You know, we still have, and I'm sure not a lot of folks know this, but we still have roughly 200 miles of unpaved road in the north end of the county. So, you know, we see everything south of the reservation and it's all concrete and asphalt, and that's where the bulk of the development is and the bulk of the population is. So we still have the rural parts of the county in the north end that still have miles of dirt road, and so there's a need up there to pave those roads, and that's the twofold purpose. It makes a safer driving surface, but it also has an impact on your stormwater system in reducing silts and sediments into water bodies. So
right, which is so important in our area.
And Jason does a very good job. Jason Autry, our Public Works Director, does a very good job of balancing those needs. You know, you'd mentioned P.J. Adams, and that's certainly important to this county as it relates to transportation congestion in and around Crestview. But also what he's been able to do is we have a project underway now, which is a dirt to pay project for Fairchild Road. And Fairchild Road is a main connector road on the east side of Bob Sykes Airport in Crestview, which connects essentially Highway 90 to Airport Road, so that north leg to 85. Very important to that industry in and around Bob Sykes and L3 Communications, and it's been a much needed project, so that's going to be very important as to the potential future economic development of Bob Sykes and the land that the county has in and around Bob Sykes for further development. So a very key project for us going forward.
Okay, well, let's talk about, we're going to talk about some parks in the north end for 2017, but let's talk about Veterans Park. It's been a big focus this year in 2016. The boardwalk is complete out there. We've got some added boat parking.
Yeah, we expanded Marler Park, which Marler Park's adjacent to Veterans Park here a couple of years ago, and expanded the footprint of that park to add additional boat trailer parking. That's one of the few boat launches in the south end of the county that you can still launch your privately owned vessel for free. There's not charge associated with that. And we see tremendous traffic through there in the summer months as people utilize the recreational opportunities with our waterways in the south end of the county. So we expanded that to accommodate that need. It's been very well received, quite a lot of traffic in and out of there in the summer months. And then adjacent to that Veterans Park's roughly 17 acres of undeveloped land, an environmentally sensitive area. It has a mixture of coastal dune system and coastal isolated ponds and lakes.
Bird rookery.
It's got a heron rookery on that site. The board is recently looked to combine about a 3.5 acre tract on the east side of that property into that 17 acre tract to expand that footprint. But you're right, we completed the boardwalk that meanders through that parcel here last year. Been very well received by the birding community, and it's just one of the few pristine coastal dune areas that's left in our southern coastal fringe. So very proud of that. There's plans obviously to expand with another phase of that, looking to potentially expand the waterfront location of that with a walkway along that waterfront, some environmentally sensitive projects, either oyster beds. We've talked about that. We've talked about planting some native submergent grasses out there to help out the overall health of the bay. So a lot of good work planned on the horizon for that park out there. Absolutely,
absolutely. And we added 5 dune walkovers to Okaloosa Island too. Want to mention that real quick.
And we continue to sink some money into those beach access ways out there on Okaloosa Island. We have, I think, overall 8 or 9 access ways on Okaloosa Island that we try and pick one of those each year to do an upgrade, if you will, a capital improvement project to give us a better presence out there with those facilities, restroom type facilities, and you know, picnic table type of setups out there. So again, they're programming dollars in the budget here in the coming year to address that need on Okaloosa Island.
So everybody can enjoy the beach. I know those
That's
are
right.
great. Those are great accesses.
Big draw for us.
7 of them along there, yeah. So, well, we've got a couple of parks planned in the north end for 2017. You want to talk about that before we talk about airports?
Yeah, you know, a lot of our our large developments, as these developments come online, and you've got a several acre tract which a developer wants to develop a single family residential community there. As part of that, there's typically land set aside for park development. So we have some of those facilities in the north end. We're looking to develop some neighborhood parks in and around the Crestview area. We also have a project that we've been working for some time with the Holt Volunteer Fire Department. They own a parcel of land in the Holt community that they're looking to expand their operation onto that property. And, but they have more land than what they need for their operation, so they've been working with our park staff to utilize a portion of that to develop a park in the Holt area, which we currently don't have a county park facility in the Holt area. So that's a project that we've been working toward for the last couple of years. We have that project programmed, and that'll be a nice addition to the Holt community here in the coming year.
All right, well, real quick, let's touch on airports. We definitely want to mention the tower at Destin and the courthouse, and then talk about maybe corrections for next year. We got a couple of minutes.
Just briefly, speaking to our airport system, our airports director, Tracy Stage, has done an amazing job here in the year that he's been our airports director as far as expanding the operations in and out of VPS, or Destin Fort Walton Beach Airport. We brought on 3 new air carriers this year. The big player amongst that group is the Legion Airlines. That has expanded our destination cities to, I believe, the count is now 8 new cities that fly in and out of VPS. We're getting a lot of traffic, obviously that summertime traffic from those destinations into our tourist destination.
Right.
And again, I pointed out the growth. We're seeing tremendous growth because of that. So been very successful with that. The courthouse, we are in the process of the asbestos abatement for the Crestview Courthouse. As you know, we're looking to demolish that old structure and build a new courthouse up there. We have to remove the asbestos that's in that site now, and we're currently in the process and hope to start that demolition before the year's out. So that's going to be a much needed improvement for the Crestview area.
Well, we are out of time, so we will talk about the corrections and some more exciting things in 2017 at a future date. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks to the cities of Destin, City of Fort Walton Beach, and to Cox Communication. I hope everyone have a safe and happy holiday season. Bye.
Thanks for watching Okaloosa Today. Join us again next month to learn about local news and information for Okaloosa County, Fort Walton Beach, and Destin.